The gift that just keeps on giving. Congratulations on making it back here to join us again. Maria Taylor, Matthew Berry, Mike Florio, Peanut, Devin McCourty, and Jason Garrett here with you. It's your new nickname moving forward. Guys, let's start with the game that we were all watching as the show was going on, the Steelers and the Lions. And since we're going to start with a little bit of a negative Florio on what's wrong with the Lions.
I'm filled with Christmas cheer.
Christmas cheer different than I do.
Relative to my usual disposition. The Lions miss Ben Johnson. It's that simple. Look at what he's done for the Bears. Look at what has happened to the Lions without him. Look at what Dan Campbell's had to do. He's intervened. He didn't play calling. It worked at first, and then it didn't. And they just seem to be struggling to recapture the magic that they had for the first time in 15 straight games when they had an opportunity to avoid 2 losses in a row. They got 2 losses in a row, and now they're barely hanging on. And I think that job number 1 in the offseason, all due respect to John Horton, but obviously he had the play calling duties taken away for a reason. They need to find somebody to come in and run that offense.
Yeah, I think the first thing is Detroit has to figure out how do they keep getting so many injuries. And injuries in football, nothing's more important than the health of your team. The team you build, the guys you want on the field, you get injuries happening, but it's like back-to-back years when you look and it's just like, man, everybody that they wanted out there, they plan to have out there, they're not out there. And then the second part is like you said, I thought when Dan Campbell took over play calling and they were still top 2 in the league in scoring, I thought it created a little bit of a panic, like things are all going, just like, oh gosh, you're still good here. I thought they should have just stuck to the plan, stuck to it, and if things went south, then try to make a change. I thought they did it too early, and that's not really their style, and I feel like they've been off ever since that move.
Yeah, for me, and I'm more with the personnel they have. They were so dominant on the offensive line the last 4 years. Right now, the Tigers, they lose to Tennessee. They lose these guys. They have 4 first-round picks on that offensive line, and they just dominated people up front. And that's where it all started. The offense, they were aggressive. They made a ton of plays in the passing game. When they were at their best, they ran the ball, play action, got big chunks off of that. And Ben Johnson was making those calls. He certainly has been something they're missing. He's a fantastic coach. We know that. The other injuries. But I think up front, they're not quite the physical team they've been. And not only that, allow them to get ahead games, it allowed them to close games out in the last 3 years. And to me, that's a big factor.
Yeah, Coach, just to echo that, I would say on both sides of the ball, I think this is a really good stat in this game. The Steelers have 230 rushing yards in this game. The Lions have 15. You have a team with Jameer Gibbs and David Montgomery, you have 15 rushing yards. Now, I get it. You talked about the injuries and the losses on the offensive line. They were down to their 3rd-string center by the end of this game. But still, when you can only get 15 rushing yards, and some of that was game script, they were down and they had to keep, they had to throw, but to throw their way in. But to me, I think it's the physicality on both sides of the line, and I also think it's the defense, Devin. They're so beat up on defense, but they haven't been able. You mentioned, Florio mentions they miss Ben Johnson. I think they also miss Aaron Glenn as well. The Steelers put up 481 total yards. That was a season high. Like for all there's a lot that's right with the Steelers, but the Steelers haven't been a high-flying offense this entire year, right? I mean, they've kind of grinded out wins, and they put up 481 yards. Credit to Pittsburgh. 251 yards passing, 203 rushing. They were completely balanced, unlike the Lions, who just had to throw a bunch. Jared Goff was under siege. He was sacked 3 times. Felt like he was constantly under pressure. Did a good job of stopping on Rossi Brown, Jameer Gibbs, Davis Williams. Like they were trying to get production from like Queen Raymond just because all their stars were clamped down by Pittsburgh.
As it relates to the Steelers, I thought about 3
side makes a play, all right, we got to get another play here on this side. And that's how you play winning football, especially in the playoffs.
Especially with a quarterback, though, when you look at how they come into the league, the first question is, do they belong? Do they pass the eyeball test? Are they on the pass side of the pass-fail line? And Trevor Lawrence clearly was. And then the question is, where's his ceiling? And we felt like we had gotten to his ceiling. We felt like he had plateaued, and it's just who he is, a guy who's going to make a mistake or two every game. Can they overcome it? And then, boom, all of a sudden, the past several weeks, he's been flawless. He's been incredible. He puts up the historic performance against the Jets. And they go into Denver, where it was ridiculously loud. The Broncos were riding that winning streak, and all the momentum's there. And they're up 14 points in the fourth quarter. They hold on to win the game, and now the Jaguars are in position to be the number one seed in the AFC. It's amazing to think that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that one of the reasons he was hired as offensive coordinator in Green Bay was to fix Trevor Lawrence. He knows the talent, right? But then, he's had, for a fifth-year player, he's had a number of offensive systems, a number of coaches that haven't worked out for various reasons in Jacksonville. And credit to Liam Cohen, this is the 8th straight game the Jaguars have lose 25 points, right? And so, to your point about Lawrence, I think what's so impressive here is like, okay, it's one thing to beat up on the Jets, right? And some of the teams they played haven't been that great, but to go into the number one seed in the AFC and dominate the way he did, I mean, he looked great. And I also just think, just in general, not all the headlines are rightly so about Trevor Lawrence, but I also think that Liam Cohen has integrated Jacoby Myers, adjusted, lost Travis Hunter for the year. I mean, he has done a lot, and this defense is playing well. Lawrence was 100%. Lawrence's QBR in this game, which is a metric on a scale of 1 to 100. 100 obviously being the best. Best defense, didn't have a turnover, didn't get a turnover on the Jags, got 2 turnovers, fumbled and interception as well. So I just credit to Liam Cohen, who should be one of the favorites for Coach of the Year after this weekend, and unbelievable story.
Yeah, it's interesting. With the outcome of this game, the Jaguars sprinkled a little spice on the race to the 1 seed and bring it all down to help us understand the 6 teams that are still in play. Let's bring in Steve Kornacki. What are we looking at right now for the last 2 weeks?
There are 6 teams still in the mix for that number 1 seed in the AFC. Although, as we'll show you here, we may be testing the limits of what it means to be in the mix with